Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's Morning Coffee with Mike. We're getting things started early here. The question of the day: what to do in choppy market environments? It's been choppy now for more than a year. I'll share the screen with you momentarily and show you just how choppy it's been, but we basically have gone nowhere for more than a year at this point on a percentage basis. And so when we start to think about what to do in these choppy market environments, a lot of things can come to mind. A lot of fear can start to become induced. Why? Because you start to see, you log onto social media, you start to see some people are posting gains. There's all sorts of reasons why FOMO might happen. So question becomes, well, what do we do? How do we handle this? How do we prevent this fear of missing out? I don't want to miss the market turning. Right, well, let's just take a look at the market and see where it is right now. So I just shared the screen over here on Instagram. I'll share it over here for you guys that are watching on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. And by the way, thank you all for joining in. I appreciate you guys. If you haven't done so already, make sure that you like and subscribe uh, wherever it is that you're watching. So what I'm sharing with you right here is charts of the major indexes on the weekly time frame. So up here, we've got the S&P 500. This is the NASDAQ, Russell 2000, New York Stock Exchange, and the Dow. And this down here is the IBD 50, which tracks a lot of growth stocks. The reason why I like to have these indexes up and to track them over time is because it gives me a feel of the lay of the land. It's almost like if you live in the U.S. or if you live somewhere where there's all four seasons, you start to get a sense of that there's not just the four seasons that you're feeling, but each region is feeling the four seasons in its own way. So, for example, right now it's spring right here at where I live in New York. Spring in New York feels different than spring in Florida, and spring in Florida feels different than spring in Seattle. Right? So we're experiencing the same seasons, but having this broader perspective helps us uh, understand how things might be behaving or transitioning. So when I look at the indexes, it's telling me a bit about the different seasons, right? Because you see how the S&P 500 is starting to transition up, or well, it's above it, that red line there, which is the 10-week line, and so is the Nasdaq. That they look like they're coming off the lows, but you take a look at the Russell 2000, and it's below that 10-week line, and that gray line too. It's below the 40-week line. So when I start to think about, well, how is the market going to behave around all these things? That they all play off of one another, right? Like it would be very weird if you're thinking about the season example for Seattle to be in winter and for New York to be in summer, right? Like that's not going to last too long. You might get a couple of hot days, but the whole season is going to transition together. Same thing happens with the market and the indexes, and so that's why we want to be tracking all these different indexes, and that's why I do it. So when the market is choppy, that's the original question here. Well, what do we do in the choppy market? Well, first we need to understand, well, the types of environments that will produce chop. And guess what? We're in it. So uh what do you do in a choppy market? The answer is to look for your setup. And if your setup is not present, then you don't trade. Here's something that's even better. If your setup and a high quality version of your setup is not present, then you don't trade. You sit and you wait. And this is where discipline comes in. This is where understanding Analysis comes in. It's where having clearly defined plans come in. And this is also where having a deep belief in your methodology comes into play. A lot of the fear that people have, this fear of missing out, comes from not having true conviction in your system and your style. Here's what I mean. So, if you understand how your system operates and you understand what gives you the best chances of success, meaning, well, what's going to put money in your pocket? What's going to put money in your pocket, not just today, not just tomorrow, but over the longer term, right? Because that's what we're after. We're not trading because we want to get some money today and then that's it, we're done. We want something that's going to be able to pay us over time and for many years, many decades, for the rest of our lives. That's why we're doing this, right? Like, the trading is not easy. So it takes a lot of work. So we're not just going to dump this in a couple of months. We want to have something that's robust, that we believe in. Well, if we understand our system, if we understand the methodology that we're trying to trade, and we understand it inside and out, we've done the testing, right? We've done factor modeling, we've done back testing, we've done forward testing. I talk about all these things in my book, The Trading Mind Wheel, which is sitting right back there. So if you haven't gotten that book already, go grab it. It's everywhere: Amazon, Barnes and Noble, etc. So when you do all that testing, it's putting the methodology into your mind. It's putting it into your subconscious, where you have genuine belief in your system because you've seen it work. Right? It's not just some guy that's talking to you on Instagram or YouTube that's saying, "Hey, this thing works." No, you've actually put in the work to see this thing work, and you understand the results and how it behaves, and what to expect. So when you have that kind of belief, FOMO goes out the window. Right? Well, because, well, what's there to fear? You know exactly well what you're looking for. You know how it's supposed to behave. You know the best times to get involved into the market. FOMO comes from not having belief in your system and not having full conviction in your system, and then seeing somebody else posting great gains. Like, oh, this person on Twitter just posted that they had 100% return. Great, the trading options, and the option doubled. Great. Most people don't even tell you how their system works, but that's one of the ways that you see 100% gain in the day. That you buy a call option that is expiring in a week. It goes up, it moves a little bit, and then all of a sudden the price of the call doubles. It's, uh, it could be a one-to-one reward to risk trade. You need to understand about probabilities and ratios, and all these kinds of things like that. This is what's really going to help you make money over the long term. That's why I put all these skills together in a book, because I try to do my best in giving it to you in video format and answering questions, but for you to really learn and digest, read the book. So, what to do when the market is choppy? The bottom line answer is to always look for your setups. Always look for your setups. No matter what style it is that you're trading, you're always going to want to look for your setups, even if the general market condition is choppy. Because if you're finding your setups and you're finding high quality setups that you trade, that you know work, then that'll be the first signs that perhaps the market is starting to transition. And then you can get involved in a small way and see if you start to gain traction. If your setup is not present, then you sit in your hands and you wait, and you keep on running your screens, you keep on working your routine, working your process, and you wait for your setup to appear. What questions do you guys have? Let's take some questions. Going to scroll through Instagram. Everybody that's watching everywhere else, post your questions in. Question about buying or selling now. For me, I'm sitting and waiting. So I have the setups that I look for. I discuss a lot of the setups that I like to use in my book. Not to say that, oh, you need to trade like me, but to give you examples of how I think and why. And then if you want to adopt some of what I do, great. If you have other ways, then great, use your way. The types of setups that I look for are not present right now. Well, I shouldn't say it that way. There's some, but remember the other part of the conversation that I said. So it's not just you want your setup to be present, you want high quality versions of your setup to be present. I'm not seeing any quality, I'm seeing a bunch of trash. So I'm sitting on my hands and waiting for the high quality setups to appear. Let's see, what other questions do you guys have? A lot of hi, how are you? Doing well, thank you. Let me know what questions you guys have, or if there's no questions, we'll wrap things up a bit early. Someone is asking me to analyze G, GBP USD. I am not a Forex trader, but we could take a look at the chart and see what it looks like. GBP USD. All right, pound dollar. We should bring on my friends Akil Stokes, Jason Greystone, and Austin Silver for this. Those are the Forex guys. All right, so pull this up over here, pull this up on the other platforms, and we've got a weekly chart right here. So, it's funny enough, this kind of reminds me a bit of what we were just looking at with the S&P. Right? Here's the weekly chart of the S&P. That same downtrend, and then perhaps transitioning out here. So if you're familiar with Stan Weinstein's stage analysis, if you're not, I highly recommend that you read his book as well, The Secrets to Profiting in Bull and Bear Markets. What he found was that there's four stages to stage analysis. You have stage one, which is moving sideways like this. Then you have stage two, which starts to come up off the lows. Then stage three is a topping out phase. And then stage four, you're back in decline. Now, there's other rules around what's going to constitute stage one, stage two, right? So, stage one, stage two, stage three, and stage four. I'm writing with the mouse. Not too bad, right? I think I did a good job. Do you think that I did a good job handwriting with a mouse? I'm left-handed too, by the way, and I'm writing those numbers well with my right hand using a mouse. Anyway, so uh, Stan Weinstein has the stage analysis, and from what I'm seeing over here on the S&P, this looks like it's stage one, perhaps getting ready to transition into stage two. If we're looking at this British pound US dollar, actually looks like it is in a similar spot where it was in stage one, or stage two, I mean stage three, stage four, and now over here, you're trying to get into stage one, and perhaps if you get a successful breakout over here, you're moving back into stage two. If I'm going to trade this as an uptrend, I want it to get above and to make progress above what looks like a buck 25, somewhere in that vicinity. Until then, I think that you've got some chop ahead. Let's take a look at it over here on the daily time frame. Yeah, wow, it's so super tight. You guys in the forex world trade these ranges a lot. So it seems. Yeah, so it's got a ways to go until it transitions into an uptrend. I think that you've got some overhead supply right there in your face. But I don't trade forex, so you guys might know a little bit better than me. But from my personal style of trading, that's my assessment. Hopefully, that helped you out a little bit. Any other questions? Do I trade options? I do trade options occasionally. I do trade options occasionally. Yeah, if the situation warrants. So, well, what are some situations that would warrant options? If I'm going into an earnings report and I don't have a position, but I see that the stock is setting up and I want to get involved. And I want to get involved ahead of earnings because the concern is that it's setting up ahead of earnings, and if it does break out, then it'll gap and go, and I'll have missed the bulk of the move. When those occasions occur, what I'll do is I will look at the options market. First see if the options market exists and if it's liquid. If those are present, then I'll look at call options at the pivot level, right? So at this point, it's still setting up. It's below the pivot. So let's say the pivot is $100 stock. And right now it's trading at 95. What I would do is I would look at the $100 call options about 2 months out, 2 to 3 months out. So that way there's still plenty of time value baked in. I'm not going to be subject to the volatility crush that happens right after earnings. And I'll buy those. And if price does go, then the price of the option will move with the price of the stock. If the price falls, then most likely I'll still have time premium baked in and be able to sell the calls for something. I won't lose all my money on the call options. But that's a great way to manage risk ahead of earnings. So that's how I'll trade options. The other way is I used to day trade, and when I would day trade, I would use options. Uh, the options are a great way uh, to gain leverage and momentum in price when day trading in select situations. I was able to do it. I was able to do it very well. I talk about it in the Trading Mind Wheel book too. It's been a while since I've day traded, and the reason why I've stopped day trading for now is because I'm doing this. I'm coaching people, I'm writing books, I'm doing a lot of speaking, and for my style of day trading, all those moving pieces don't work well together. I require a complete and total focus, and when I'm in a trade, I'm not doing anything else other than focusing on the trade. Makes it very difficult to coach people. So for right now, I'm swing trading. Do you have a system for taking journals? I do. So the system that I have for journaling, it's all discussed in the book. That's the easiest and most affordable way to get it. Another way to get my journals is I give my journals to our members. So I have a membership program. It's called the Mara Elite Program. And when you subscribe to either the premium or the VIP level, you get my journal. And my journal includes everything from the overall market analysis to my open trades, all the closed trades, a monthly tracker, everything that I'm looking at, my full plans, and all the historical stuff. And I will take a look at that. I use it for my planning, but I'm also using it for data gathering, statistics. How can I continuously improve? So a lot of our members use it as a template for themselves, so they don't have to start from scratch. They don't have to go out and buy extra software. They have all my spreadsheets, and they also have me where they could come and ask a lot of questions about how can they best use this journal, the tweaks that they want to make to it, and I help them with that. Let's see. Any other questions? Yeah, so you threat that you're going to end the show, and then all of a sudden the questions come rolling in, but that's okay. I love it. I'm able to stick around for about 10 more minutes if the questions keep coming. What is your opinion about funded trading firms? My friend Austin Silver uses funded trading firms, and he seems to like them. I think that just like with anything, if you're shopping around, you need to do your own due diligence to see if the firm is how they're going to pay out, the requirements, all those kinds of things. I personally haven't done any research into that, but Austin Silver has, and he's posted a lot of YouTube and Instagram content around that. I would recommend checking out Austin Silver's content uh, for seeking out funded trading firms. So big shout out to my buddy Austin Silver, who's having a baby in a few weeks. One question for you. What's your favorite motivation thing in your life for inspiration? That's a great question. I would say the biggest thing for motivation is my daughter. A lot of what I do is for her. So physical fitness, right? I go to the gym 6 days. Actually, no, I go to the gym 5 days a week. I exercise 6 days a week, and I'll do stretching on Saturdays. Why do all this physical fitness stuff? Because I want to make sure that I'm around for not just her wedding, but for her kids, grandkids, and God willing, great grandkids. My mom died in her 40s. She had breast cancer. My dad died at 70. He had every kind of heart condition known to man. And I'm taking care of myself now for her and also for my wife, and I want to be there for my family. So family is my biggest motivation to for health, for trading, to become financially free and to have a voice. It's very difficult to have a voice if you don't have funds backing you up. So, what does that mean? That means that if you want to speak out, like if you think that something is nonsense or BS and you don't want to follow along, well, you need a stream of income because otherwise, if your employer or whoever tells you you've got to do XYZ or you're fired, well, you need money to back you up so that way you can do what it is that you want to do. My wife and I was speaking this morning. It's not just individuals, it's also schools. So, in our own school district during COVID, they wanted to eliminate masks. And then they were all set and ready to do it. And then what happened was the state came down. I live in New York. The state came down and said that no, they have to have masks or we're cutting your funding. And then the next day, masks were back. So even at the school level, right, like the different entities, funding matters. So the more funds we have, the more we're able to speak. So that's another motivation too. I want to be able to speak. I want to be able to have the thoughts that I want to have. I want to be able to express what I want to express. And funds allow you to do that. So that's another reason why finance is so important and why we talk about it here, why we talk about being able to be in control of your own finances, why you're being in control of your own trading and finances too. It's not just about trading, it's about how you're going to budget and manage expenses and all these kinds of things. It's seldom well, I shouldn't say seldom, it's not discussed at all. If maybe it is now, but no, when I was in school, it wasn't discussed at all. And the education that's being put out there by a lot of the people that I had on this show, on the Trading Mind Wheel virtual conference, talk about these kinds of things. And that's why I'm working to bring these people to you so that way you could learn even better. And together we're all more empowered. Let's see what other questions you guys have. Yeah, so that's what motivates me, family. Best company from which to buy precious metals? I have no idea. If I'm trading precious metals, I'm buying the ETFs, and it's very seldom that I trade things like gold and silver and those kinds of things. But if I were to trade them, I'm trading them with the ETFs. All right, and it looks like that's it for questions. So again, well, wherever you happen to be watching this, make sure that you like and subscribe. I appreciate you guys being here. I appreciate all the great questions that you have. Keep sending the questions in because in that way I get to answer you guys directly and do a whole show around what it is that you want. If there's certain guests that you want me to have, let me know. I'll try to bring those guests on. And that's it for today. I want to say thank you all so much for being here. I appreciate it. And I'll see you again tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Take care. Much love. Peace out, everybody.